This meeting of Cabinet today. It's very good to see so many people here, and welcome to those of you who are joining us from home. Today is actually quite a special day because it's World Mental Health Day, which has incredibly important significance for everyone. In the county here, we undertake a number of actions to play our part in that, and I'm very grateful to Councillor Patterson, who's working on everything we can do in the county here. I would actually also like to just acknowledge the work that's going on in Prudhoe, where there is a mental health hospital currently under construction, which will serve a wide range of people and wide range of the county and the people in those parts of the county. So that's really good news. So, moving on, the apologies for absence section has got no entries because we're all here, I think. Is that right? The minutes of the last meeting, this was on the 12th of September. I plan to sign these as a true correct record if everyone is happy. Could you, proposed by Councillor Wearmouth and seconded by Councillor Patterson, all in favour? That's good. Disclosures of members' interest. Do any of you have any, or do I have any declarations of interest to declare? None of us have, I don't think. No. Okay, thank you very much indeed. This takes us on to an incredibly important report, which has taken a significant amount of time to get to the stage where we are today. And it's very important because it acknowledges all the work that we have been doing and are doing and will do on our climate change action plan and all that is contained in that. But it also turns the spotlight onto the environment as we know it. In other words, all those things that our residents touch and feel and see and taste and smell, all of the things around us, and makes a firm declaration and promise that we will undertake to sustain our duties as a county council and do more. So this action plan that follows, which I'm going to read out the key actions from it shortly, will be covered by some new funding, and we will, in the four-year programme of work, we will deliver on a wide range of issues across the county. I'm going to just, if I may, before I take questions and comments on this, I'd like to just read the key points that are in the action plan. This may take a moment or two, but I think it's important for everyone to actually be clear on those things that we are saying we are going to do. So the first thing is that we will maintain our commitment to tackling climate change and agree and implement our climate change action plan, which will run from 24 to 26. We will halve the council's carbon footprint by 2025 and make the county carbon neutral by 2030 in relation to carbon dioxide emissions. We will develop and implement an action plan to conserve and enhance biodiversity. We will introduce a new environment and climate change fund, which will be there to make claims on to allow community projects that improve the environment, the environmental benefits, and or help tackle climate change. And that will widen the fund that we started very successfully, which was oversubscribed last year, which dealt just with issues around climate change and dealing with actions that would help there, to widening it out to include environmental projects that local communities can undertake. And that is going to be up and running shortly and ready to claim on. We want to improve access to our high-quality parks, the country parks and green spaces, through our Parks Improvement Capital Programme, including the development of new nature trails within those parks and green spaces. We want to increase the number of parks and green spaces in the county that have secured the prestigious Green Flag accreditation from 12 to 14 by the end of 26-27. We want to increase our household waste recycling rate from 32% to 45% by the end of 26-27, subject to government new burdens funding, and that means we don't quite know yet what new areas that we may need to pick up until we hear from the government on their plans around this. But that is our target, and that is what we will be working to. We want to reduce the number of fly tipping incidents by 5% by the end of 26-27 compared to the 22-23 baseline. We want to continue to support litter picking champions and the development of litter picking groups across the county to undertake community litter picking activity within our towns, villages, parks and green spaces. Because of public concerns and continuing annoyance caused to residents, we are going to increase the council's frequency of litter picking activity along major roads. And that will improve the cleanliness and visual appearance of these key transport corridors. And we want very much to put out a message to people who think it's okay to chuck a plastic bottle out of their van or car or lorry window. And we want to say to them, no, it's not okay. So in the meantime, while we are working on a strategy to deal with that, we will increase the money we spend on picking up litter and other rubbish that thoughtless people throw out of their vehicles over the next 4 years. We will increase our active travel infrastructure, a programme of this through provision of new dual-use pedestrian and cycle paths along key corridors identified in our local cycling and walking infrastructure plans. And the portfolio holder who picks up these matters will be talking about this a little bit more when we get into another agenda item. We will complete the work to reopen the Northumberland line to rail passenger services. That will bring huge benefits to commuters, it will bring huge benefits to CO2 emissions, and will transform the way people use public transport within the county and beyond. We will implement improvements to bus services to increase levels of bus patronage. We will improve the standards of service and accessibility to our public toilets. We will increase the number of toilets that are going to be deep cleansed. And we will also introduce directional signage by delivering our public toilets capital improvement programme. And we are looking to invest more in that as well. We think provision of public toilets is very important. A number of councils, as we know, have actually closed down or divested themselves of public toilets. We think it's very important that we have a good amount of good quality toilets throughout our key areas, and that we sign them correctly so people can actually find public toilets when they're looking for them, which sometimes can be a bit of a challenge. We will continue to work with parish and town councils and other key partners to increase the number of conservation verges that have high ecological value. I was up in the hills near Hexham at a first school that have taken on a section of verge, and they have allowed wildflowers to grow beautifully in those grass verges. We have a number of conservation verges already in the county, and we want to see more. But we will work with parish and town councils on this to ensure that they are with us on any more sections that we decide to leave to grow. We will work with other agencies and key stakeholders to ensure all our designated bathing waters are consistently classified as having excellent water quality by the end of 26-27. That's quite a big challenge, but we will do that. We will complete the tidy up and cleansing of the historic pollution at Lynemouth Bay. This is something that has been ongoing for years and years and years, but we have dug deep into our pockets to make sure that we clean up Lynemouth Bay, and we will do that, working with the Coal Authority and others to deliver that improvement, which we all feel is really important. And it will be ignored, as it has been ignored for decades, no longer. And finally, we will increase our work in schools to improve knowledge, awareness, and young people's active participation in tackling climate change and protecting the environment. And I was involved last night in the new schools pack that will be going to many schools in the county around raising awareness, listening to what our young people are talking about when it comes to climate change, and taking everybody with us. Not forcing people to come down that road, but to actually encourage everyone to do their bit, no matter how small, in helping us to achieve the aims within our climate change action plan. So there are a number of key points within those that will be a challenge, but we are determined we will take these actions on and we will complete them within this action plan timescale. It will cost some more money, and we will find that extra money in order to achieve this. I'm deeply grateful to Paul Jones in particular, who's done a huge amount of work on this, but to our climate change team and everyone else who's been involved in this, and have shown great patience while we've worked through getting this paper to where we are today. I'm very proud of this paper. I'm very proud this council is leading the way in taking these actions, making these commitments, taking on the challenges, and being absolutely clear that we will and will continue to provide the very best for our residents in all manner of ways to make sure that our environment is the finest anywhere. So that is the report. Are there any questions on it? Yes, Wendy Patterson.
Thank you very much, Leader. It isn't a question. Our environment is something which surrounds us in our everyday lives, and no more so should we welcome the county has such a wonderful coastline. Our coastline, I feel, is second to none. And I particularly wanted to mention the valuable contribution of 140 volunteers who work for Northumberland Coast Care. This is a volunteering initiative in the area of natural beauty, and the volunteers are registered with the council, and they carry out litter picking, habitat management, wildlife surveying and conservation tasks in and around the AONB. I'm lucky enough to be one of the trustees representing Coast Care, and we recently had the pleasure of welcoming local author Anne Cleves, who has written the wonderful Vera books, which many of you know are televised and filmed in and around Northumberland. And Anne has agreed to join with us at Coast Care in support and to ensure our beautiful Northumberland coastline remains one of the finest places to visit in the county. And if I could just say, in the country, I should say, not county, if anyone would be interested in volunteering with Coast Care, please do get in touch. Thank you very much.
I completely agree with you. I think they are fantastic, as are all the volunteers that work with us throughout the county. I'm thinking of Ridley Park, for example. A whole wonderful group of people there doing fantastic work in the park, as they are in other parks across the county. So thank you to all the volunteers, and we will be looking to ask for more volunteers as we go forward to help us with the tasks that I've outlined. Are there any other questions or comments or thoughts? Richard Wearmouth.
Thank you, Leader. A really interesting report that ultimately is at the foundation of everything that's great about Northumberland. We're famous for our environment. We're incredibly lucky to live in the county that we do, and we're determined that we keep it that way. And we're putting the resources and the finance behind it to make sure that we keep it as perfect as we can.
Exactly. Lovely. I've got Councillor Stewart and then Councillor Riddle.
Yes, thank you, Leader. You are absolutely rightly proud of this county and the way we're tackling the climate change. Community groups throughout hamlets, villages and towns in the county are playing their part. You can also mention about businesses as well. It's been my pleasure to be working with Guy Upham MP, Northumberland County Council officers on a major project at Essity in Prudder, which they've invested £30 million into Prudder. They're not just great employers in the area, but they're actually really a big part of the Prudder community and the wider part of Tynedale. So that's something the businesses are actually investing in this county.
absolutely look forward to going and visit them, I think, in the near future. John Riddle.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, echo of everything that's really been said. You know, as a farmer myself, I consider, you know, farmers to be custodians of the countryside. We're all just here for a really short time if we look upon it in the millions of years that Earth has evolved. I think we're all very proud of our environment, and, you know, we've got to remember also in Northumberland we have a great asset of the National Park. It covers 20% of the area of Northumberland, as well as our ONBs, you know, the coast and part of the North Pennines. So very, very much in support of this. It sets some actual goalposts there and goals that targets that we will achieve. And, you know, we are, as you say, very committed to not just the natural environment, but also the built environment, and the fact that we are investing as a county council in public conveniences, and the fact that we have actually reopened one is testament to the fact of our commitment, and that alongside all the work that we're doing on country parks as well. Thank you very much, Leader.
Thank you very much. Colin Horncastle.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, it's quite easy to criticise what the Leader has said until you actually look at the amount of funding that we are putting into this project, and shows our commitment. 62, nearly 63 million pounds altogether, of which 37 million is our funding. And if you look at some of the funding capital allocations that really I'm interested in, is the on the housing revenue account, £1 million go towards the installation of our houses that were built in the 60s and 70s before energy was expensive, and these sorts of things we're never worried about, but we've got to worry about it now. And we have got to make these houses so they meet modern standards. The £500,000 on the parks programmes, and also the Leader mentioned the Linemouth Bay remediation programme, a decades-old problem which has arisen. And, you know, we have given nearly £3 million towards that, £5 million, over £3 million altogether. So it's easy for people to criticise and to actually delve into this report and see the financial commitment, and you see that we really mean it.
That's very important, and thank you for making that point. Okay, so to summarise, this is a report that talks about focus on key environmental matters such as climate change, nature recovery and biodiversity, heat and renewable energy, sustainable waste management, travel and transport, water quality, parks and green spaces, and safeguarding public health. All of those in the items involved in the key points that I read out before. So it's a very, very major policy, this, for us, and is something that is, as I said before, needing the acknowledgement and gratitude to our officers for helping with this and for the time it's taken to get us to where we are today. And so thank you to all of them. I'm going to propose this policy. Is it seconded by Councillor Wearmouth? And are you all in favour? That's lovely. Thank you very much. So that's unanimous support. And I really look forward to seeing a lot of this work beginning very, very soon. Takes us on to our next report, which is Building Our Data Capacity, the Data Academy Pilot. Richard Wearmouth, tell us about this.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you very much. This is a report that's outlining the need to develop our data skills and our capabilities and capacity, and seeks approval for the establishment of the Northumberland County Council Data Academy here within the council, and it will be funded using unallocated apprenticeship levy funding, which I'll talk maybe a little bit more in a moment. Why are we doing this? It's because we've found across the organisation there's a huge variation in digital skills, and we're wanting to address that. The council increasingly collects huge amounts of data, and the need for digital skills is really now more important than ever, and it touches every part of the county council's activity, What we're going to be doing is investing in our workforce, upskilling them, making sure that they're well equipped for the years to come, and that will allow them to better serve residents and businesses and all other customers and people who come into contact with the county council. We're going to run this initial trial with the funding that we've allocated with 50 individuals from across the county council, and it will start now and end in March next year, and we'll do some evaluation there of how it's gone, what we can do better, if anything, and what's worked really well. We're working with Multiverse, who are an education team with an outstanding Ofsted rating, much like most of Northumberland County Council, actually, in that regard. So a very good partner there. And as I said, this funding that we have, it's not funding that we're adding in any way in terms of capital spend or revenue spend. This funding is funding that we have not used in terms of our apprenticeship levy. You'll be familiar with large employers paying significant sums in apprenticeship levy to make sure that we're investing in the next generation, yes, but also in existing members of staff and officers. So to that end, there's £0.6 million from the apprenticeship levy that will be funding this work, and we look forward to it making good progress. And I move that recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, and I will second that. Is there any discussion? Everyone's happy, I think, with this one. It's a great way to go forward, and I'm sure the pilot will be very successful. So are you all in favour? It's been proposed and seconded. Yes, you are. Thank you very much indeed. We now move on to a summary of new capital proposals in the singular this month. Normally we have a wide range of new capital proposals. I think it's just the one this month. This is around the Pontyland to Callerton Phase 2, which I'm going to ask Wojciech to talk about,
Thank you, Leader. As you may be aware, we are building a new walking and cycling link from Pontyland to Callerton Parkway, connecting up with Newcastle Airport and Tyne and Wear Metro. This project is all about giving people more cleaner options to travel, not just between these 2 points, but in the wider area as well. We aim to make it easier and safer to cycle and walk, reduce short car journeys and local traffic, and we also want to provide better access to jobs and schools without needing a car. This isn't just good for health and safety, but it's also a step forward in reducing our carbon footprint. And it also shows our commitment to the environment, like the leader mentioned just 2 items before. We are doing this across the county. We are spending nearly 17 million between Hexham and Corbridge and in Bedlington. We are spending millions of pounds on cycling and walking schemes in Blyth. We would like to refresh some of the cycling lanes in Cramlington. We are looking for potential schemes in Choppington. So that clearly shows where we would like to go and and how our cycling and walking strategy looks like. But going back to this report, due to rising costs, we would like to do this scheme in Pontyland and Callerton in 2 phases. And this report particularly asks us to allocate additional £500,000 to allow phased approach. What's important, this is not coming from council's pockets, it's fully funded by Transport North East. This phasing solution and associated funding requirement was presented to North East Joint Transport Committee in July this year, and JTC approved with the revised approach and the request for additional funds. And just as an update, Phase 1 is underway now, and Phase 2 is set to start by the end of the month, and both should be completed by March 2024. We need to spend all of this funding, and it will be spent in this financial year. And just as additional information, which I usually at council will look after all maintenance and associated costs in the future once it's built. That's in a nutshell, and I'm happy to answer any questions and hear your thoughts.
No, that's really good. Thank you very much. Very full report. Councillor Watson.
Just a comment. When we were talking about cycling, and one of the things that I mentioned here about improving safety, I happened to witness yesterday in Warkworth a group of children from the school being taught how to ride their bikes safely. I spoke to one of the mums, and it was a free service. The children were there. They were being taught properly how to do things. There were 9, 10s and 11s. I just thought this was a wonderful thing that we're doing to actually make it safe for our children to be on the roads. And I congratulate you on it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, that is a very good initiative, actually, that's underway. Good, thank you for raising that. So, there we are, against the background of continued investment and new investment in cycleways across the county. And you've mentioned, you mentioned Blythe and Ashington, Hexham, Corbridge. We are looking to spend money in Cramlington. And we are looking to see if we can actually create something new in and around Choppington, because I know that that particular parish council are very keen to see some work there, so we're working on that at the moment. So hopefully we will move forward on all of those schemes, and I can't see why we shouldn't. In the meantime, this one here says let's crack on with this and complete the work for those people in the Pontefract and Callerton and across that part of the county. Are you proposing the recommendation? You are, and is Richard, are you seconding it? And so are you all in favour then of this? That's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. That's great. We move on to corporate performance quarter 4. We have an outturn report, and I'm going to ask Richard Weirmer to take us through this.
Thank you very much, Glenn. So this is, as you say, is an outturn report for quarter 4, and it's looking at the council's performance at the end of the financial year 22 through 23. So it's a backwards-looking report, but it's a chance for us to take stock of how the council has performed and achieved in that financial year. And so the first thing, just for anyone watching and wanting to understand how the council works, all of the members of the Cabinet who are here today have regular conversations with officers throughout the year to make sure that we have a strong understanding of how the council's performing, how the various departments are performing, what we can improve and what's going well. But this is a report that we've pulled together to make sure that we have a significant degree of transparency and openness and that people can see from the public side as well just how things are going. And there's some really good news in this report that we should celebrate as we look to achieve our 3 priorities, which are, of course, value for money, tackling inequalities and delivering jobs and growth and pushing for investment. I'll not go through all of the report because it would take me a very long time. But I'm going to talk for a little bit because there's so much good news and important things to reflect on in here. So here's just a few highlights that stand out for me and I hope all of you. So the first one is on customer service. It's a really important part of the council in terms of making sure that we're satisfying residents and here we've got a percentage of calls answered, which is always a particular one that people highlight. And we're achieving quite well in this regard. 92% of all calls answered in a good time. The average time for the team is 136 seconds, which if you've ever been on the phone to some places, including your bank, or if you'd ever try to talk to some departments in government, believe me, you can be on the phone for hours and then eventually it hangs up. That's not going to happen to you at NCC. On average, 136 seconds. And I think that that's pretty good, really, isn't it? And when you do get through, the team there are absolutely fantastic. You and I dropped in to see them the other day. And they got all sorts of questions. Some of them really straightforward. Others, I have to say, the one whilst we were there when they were talking about someone ringing up to work out what 11 across was on the crossword, I thought that one was a bit of an odd one for the council to receive, but we do get them, just so people know. But thank you very much to that team. We're continuing to push for improvement there, and we can see it happening, and it's very pleasing. The financial performance of the council was strong. We had a good year in terms of that which we've discussed on numerous occasions. There was the potential in the middle of the year with inflationary pressures and so on of a of a significant overspend. In fact, all departments working together, along with the finance team, pulled that completely out of the fire, and we really performed well on finance. And there's been huge improvements as well, and things like making sure that we are dealing with more local suppliers, keeping the pounds that we spend as a council in the county where we can. There's always more that we can do there, but you'll see in this report an uptick in the number of local suppliers with whom the council are doing business, which is brilliant. And that's something that we've pushed for as a cabinet and as a council more generally. In terms of superfast broadband across the county, more of our residents are able to access that type of service and capacity than ever before. And there's lots going on. You'll see more on that in due course. And indeed, well done, I must say at this point, to the team who do all of our work on digital, who've won an award last night at the MCA Awards for their work with the WAN contract that we've pulled together, which will really boost connectivity through government buildings across the county, but then on in turn to local businesses and to residents. And you can read more about that in due course on some of the county comms that will go out on that award being received. Well done to the team. We've done a huge amount, as you know, in terms of tackling inequalities across communities, and Communities Together has had a massive number of referrals which we've passed on to the various parts of the county council to make sure that we're protecting vulnerable families, underlying that commitment to tackling inequalities. And I'm sure that some of the cabinet members might want to pick up on that as we go through some of the discussion on the report. It's been said before in the council chamber, but let's say it again. In terms of schools, the performance across the county is exceptional. We're now at, I think, 94% of schools are good or outstanding. That is a massive, massive improvement, and we saw significant improvement in that financial year as well. We're significantly now ahead of the national average, I would say, and a massive, massive change since we took office way back in 2017, where we were languishing in the bottom quartile of performance in terms of Ofsted ratings. That is no more, and schools and pupils have a bright future under this administration, and will do in many years to come. In terms of adult services, there's a massive amount that we're doing, a really strong performance from the adults and the health team, demonstrating really positive trends in terms of healthy lives and independent living. And again, it may be that the cabinet member has a little bit more that they might like to put some emphasis on in due course. We're doing huge amounts in our economy as well. As we all know, we see huge numbers of reports come through from the Regen team and from Wojciech as the portfolio holder. The performance of the county is exceptionally strong in that space. So few people now really seeking employment, but a massive amount's been done on training and skills as well. Real improvements in fire and the rescue service, and a massive amount that they do in the local community to make sure that people are living well in their homes as well, and some really good figures on that too. And I could go on and on and on, as you know that I can. But I'm going to pause, I think, at that point, and just to emphasise my own personal thanks, if it hasn't come through in that discussion, but I'm sure it has, to the teams that work across the council to make this performance a reality. We are performing incredibly well, and it is a testament to the effort that everybody puts in as a team. Thank you.
Good, thank you very much. That's a really good summary of this very important paper. I'm happy to take questions. Got a question from Gordon Stewart?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for mentioning the Northumberland Fire and Rescue Service. They are extremely proud of the work they do there in the community, and they're going to increase the amount of work they're doing with the community, and it is really appreciated. But what gets me is you have mentioned the fantastic work across the raft of services this county council provides by various members of teams, but the abuse they're getting now seems to be, anecdotally, I don't know if you've any figures to back that up, seems to be increasing. So what the plea today would be that members of the public, please, when you ring up the county council, whichever department it is, they're covering a whole raft of areas there. They won't know the answer straight away, but they will support you. Please bear in mind you're dealing with human beings at the other side. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Wendy Patterson.
Thank you, Leader. As Councillor Wearmouth mentioned, tackling inequalities is top of our agenda. And I can't say enough about Northumberland Communities Together. At the risk of being repetitive, Northumberland Communities Together started with a handful of staff at the beginning of COVID, and none of us knew. I think all of us were nervous. We didn't know what was going to happen. And Communities Together were absolutely amazing. They helped so many vulnerable people during COVID and have now gone on to be an absolutely fantastic organisation. In particular, the help and advice they give to many of our most vulnerable residents is second to none. They are a dedicated and proactive team of staff, and 11,833 referrals between 2022 and 2023, and grant funding distributed to vulnerable households of £4,798,710, I think says it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'd actually just like to follow that up, because if we look at page 12, it gives us some of the performance around meeting our, one of our key priorities, which is tackling inequalities. Now, tackling inequalities is a huge undertaking, and to actually make it one of our 3 priorities shows how absolutely committed we are to doing everything we can to kind of help those people who need help most, and to divert attention as far as we can into those areas which will raise aspiration, motivation, employment possibilities, as well as a range of health and public health indices. So on that page, it shows you just how well we're doing in so many of those areas that are important for getting young people off to a good start. And it's not just education, it's around a whole range of issues which are highlighted in this summary paper. So all I can say is thank you to our teams who are doing a great job in tackling inequalities, and we are getting there. We're starting to get there. And I was very proud of the conference that we held a few months ago, which was hailed by everyone that attended as being absolutely the right way forward, that bonded all the groups together and all the individuals and all the volunteers and all everyone involved in tackling inequalities together with a common purpose. And that's what we are achieving, and these figures show that, and that is really gratifying. Yes, Veronica Jones.
Well, actually, I did want to mention the inequalities, but I think you've thanked that enough on that. But this is a really big report. It's a deep report on our council's performance. I'm particularly pleased to see the work on using local suppliers and the NCT team. But I'd just like to thank the officers involved for what is a big piece of work and all their time involved in collecting the information we need to show our progress in so many areas. So it's just thank you.
Absolutely. It is very much good progress. Councillor Renner-Thompson, were you going to mention something around education, I think?
I think the Deputy Leader has already covered it, but you know, just to solidify his figures, we've got 94% of our first schools, 94.2% actually of our first and primary schools good or outstanding, which is above the national average, and our secondary schools are standing at 84%, which is a 21% increase on what it was in 2017. So that's, what, another 10,000 children in good or outstanding schools that weren't 5 or 6 years ago. So it's a huge achievement. But as you've said, it's not just education. We're seeing really positive results in our early years settings. We've got increased rates on breastfeeding. We've got lower rates on childhood obesity as well. So giving people the best start in life so they can carry forward throughout into their adult years. It's the easiest way to make everyone's lives better.
I'm grateful for that. I mean, I think we would be wrong to not highlight the fact that there are challenges, and we are aware of those challenges, and we are tackling those. So some areas we would like to do more in, and I think one area in particular that we've talked about a number of times is around delivering the amount of affordable homes. It's not for the want of effort, it's not for the want of trying, but there is a delay, I think, Richard, in actually the delivery of affordable homes and actually how that affects our indicator. Could you just explain that briefly, please?
Yes, I think that we've got to make sure that we understand that the council obviously isn't the only place where affordable homes are delivered. There's a huge number, and Councillor Horncastle may remember the number off the top of his head better than I, of affordable homes that have been delivered through our policy, whether that's with social housing providers or others. And so there's a significant amount of work being done on that, and there's a huge amount of work being done to prepare a pipeline here within Northumberland County Council as part of our commitment through the Housing and Revenue account to deliver new council homes and other forms of affordable houses across the county. Naturally, that takes a significant amount of time with the planning process, the land assembly process, unpicking some of the issues that you encounter with council land around all manner of things, whether it's covenants or overages or what have you. But we're making good progress, and there's a significant pipeline to come. But I think Councillor Horncastle might like to respond to that point as well.
Yes, I think he will. I'd like to bring in Colin Horncastle because it's something that's very important to him personally. And so we are on track, but it's not as simple as it looks.
It's not for the want of trying, like you said, Leader. It's the houses that were delivered since 2017, I haven't got the exact figure, but it's over 1,700, that generated through all the different schemes that we use through our plan policies, buying some houses, working with some of our people like Carbon and Benicia. The problem we've got is, it's in the north and in the west and the rural areas. We've got planning issues, we've got AONBs, we've got green belts, all sorts of planning restraints, which makes affordable housing extremely difficult in these areas, but we are trying. And the problem we've got in these rural areas is that the actual rented accommodation in the private sector is so expensive, and there's a desperate need. We have hit some areas in the rural areas very well recently. There's a big scheme gone through at Bellingham in Councillor Riddle's area, 40 plus. To cover that huge area up there, Bellingham, the surrounding villages. But in areas like mine, South Tynedale, where you've got villages like Allendale, it's a desperate need. We are trying. There's a scheme we're looking at in Allendale. We'll just go back to what the leader said. It is not for the want of trying, but we have got hurdles to get over.
And it's challenging, but we are going to not give up. We're going to deliver, and that's very much on our agenda. But I think it's really important to highlight those areas that we need to see more oomph in, and that is what we're doing, and that's the value of these reports. So that's great. Would you like to propose your report?
I will do, yes. I think that's fine by me.
And it's seconded by Councillor Jones. And are we all in favour of this report? We are. That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. So we now move on to our final report for today, which is the Food and Feed Safety and Standards Service Plan for 23-24. I'm going to ask our Cabinet Member responsible, Gordon Stewart, to talk to this. We've had a good, close study of this and feel it's a really good report. Over to you, Gordon.
Yes, thank you, Leader. It is a very important piece of work, this one. It reassures the public, it reassures visitors, and that includes people who are buying our produce online, and that's an increasing amount. We are exporting from this county more than ever before. It also supports the people in the supply chain as well. So I'll give you a few figures here. There are 3,894 food premises in Northumberland, subject to food safety and food standards regulation, in excess of 1,700 businesses, mainly farm premises, subject to the animal feeds, hygiene, sampling, etc., enforcement, England regulations. What a mouthful that is, isn't it? But what that means is we've got a very wide geographical area and some fantastic products which have been produced here, who've been treated here, and our officers are going to all parts of this county on a very regular basis, ensuring we've got exceptionally high standards. So I'm not wishing to labour anything more about this, except for the percentage of food businesses in Northumberland with a food hygiene rating of satisfactory to very good. That's 3 to 5 stars. You've probably all seen in your takeaways and your fine restaurants. It's 98.6%. You know, we applaud it, and quite rightly so, the Educational Standards Council of Leonard Thompson, but the team are out there every day, 98.6%, which continues to compare favourably with both the national average of 96.9 and the regional average of 98.1. So we're ahead nationally and regionally on really good standards there. So it's a thank you to the staff of the County Council, working with partners, but it's also a thank you to all the businesses out there who are serving our community and making this such an attractive county for people to come to. So there's still work to be done there, and I would recommend this report to Cabinet as outlined there.
Lovely, thank you very much indeed. Are there any questions or queries on this one? Yes, Councillor Wearmouth.
Thank you, Leader, and thank you, Councillor Stewart. I think probably, I don't often do this, but I'm going to do a little bit of a shout-out for Morpeth, just to say the number of eateries, pubs and restaurants, and you name it, that's come here. Your department does a fantastic amount of work with businesses across all of the county. They do a great job in Morpeth. There is no better place than Northumberland to come and enjoy that sort of hospitality. It's why we're being put on the map increasingly, and why a big part of the reason why we're getting so many more visitors, because we've got so much going on in this space. Well done.
Yes, absolutely, and of course we have great restaurants in other towns as well.
But mostly in Morpeth, Leader.
I think we're all very proud of how Northumberland is developing, and that visitor offer is broadening every year. We are very lucky to have so many good restaurants. And so thank you for that. There is one point in here around the Produced in Northumberland scheme. Now, this is something that is underway now, but it's something the administration want to see expanded and built upon. So we will be having a catch-up meeting soon to talk about the options open to us, because Produced in Northumberland means just that, obviously, but we have got so many different items, food, drink, and even other things that we could include in this scheme that we would like to see included, and we would like to see if we can invest more in this to ensure that it is even more popular and well known than it is now. So that is quite a large piece of work that we're going to undertake and pass to officers to help us with in the coming weeks. So, with that, if there are no more questions, thank you very much, and thank you very much to officers for the depth and quality of the report. Did you propose that? You did, and is it seconded? It's seconded by.
Would you like as well a list of new restaurants and cafes in Morpeth to go with that seconding, Leader?
No, I don't think so. We can have a list of restaurants in Northumberland that are doing very well soon, I'm sure. But with that, we move to the vote. And so you've had this proposed and seconded. Are you all in favour? We are all in favour. So that is agreed unanimously. And that takes us to the end of this agenda. and the end of this meeting. Can I thank you all very much for attending? Thank you for joining us from home. And we look forward to seeing you at the next one in